So in this example, we're going to have a look at an unoptimized scene and then an optimized, and we're going to see what the difference is between them. Here I have a scene with a lot of coins. And while it probably isn't realistic to have this amount of coins in one specific area, even if you were to spread these out, the results would still be the same. It's hard for you to see, but if I do stat unit, stat FPS, and stat unit graph, then we can get an idea of the current performance. And I can tell you, it is currently hitting 33 FPS. There's a pretty heavy load on the game thread. And when I shoot, these coins disappear and I'm collecting them. And here I have an optimized version of this. So let it load in. And we can see the coins are moving, very similar to what it was before. I can pick this up. If we look at the graph, there isn't such a big dependency anymore on the game thread. All the logic is working exactly the same, but instead of hitting that 30 FPS, we're now just hitting that target of 90 FPS, and visually everything looks exactly the same, but in terms of performance, we have more than tripled it in this example. So what is the difference between the two? Well, you are watching a course on materials, so it's probably solved using materials. If we open the unoptimized one and optimized one and we compare their graphs, we can see that actually they are completely the same. There's an overlap component. When it overlaps, then we have a particle and it's destroyed, and a sound. But if we have a good look, we see that in the components tab, there's a rotating movement component on the unoptimized version. So what this does is it makes sure that the coin is constantly spinning. We have that set up in the rotating component, and it's rotating in local space, and on tick, that's just being moved. That is actually not happening in the optimized version of it, where we have a coin that is spinning as well. But how? Is that on the tick? Is that on the construction script? No, that is actually being done through the material. So here we have a rotating actor, and it's a material function. So I could use this in other places as well. And we're only going to care about the bottom part because that's actually what makes it move. So there's this time node that is going into a multiply for the frequency. And then we have a rotate about world axis cheap, which is just rotate about world axis cheap. And that is, if you look, that is a material function. So we can actually open it up and have a look. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say, sure, I know what it does, which is rotate around a world axis. And it's cheap, so that's what we like. And this part here at the top is there as a normal fix. So if I didn't do this part, I can actually disable that for a second, apply. And then if we have a look at the optimized level in game view, then we can see that at some points we get these weird shadow artifacts. It's a little bit harder to see because of the emissive. I will turn that off as well, actually. So just to show you why that normal fix is there. So there's this weird issue with the shadows going on. And they actually have a fix for that. So fix rotate about axis normals is what they called it. I could work this together with a normal map if that was already the case, but that sort of fixes that shadow issue. And so now it's fixed again. That shadow issue, so that shadow not working properly is one part of the issue that shows up when doing this through materials. The other side is that we're actually updating the visuals. We're just playing around with the vertices on this mesh through materials. So it's not physically rotating the coin. If we didn't have this overlap, this extra sphere around the coin doing the collision, which I will turn on visibility for now so we can see it. This is the thing that we shoot actually. There's no collision on the coin. But what if we were to enable collision on the coin? Let's have a look. Cylinder, collision, let's set it to default. And then in view, we go and say show collision. And if we zoom in here, we can actually see that the coin is static. It's not actually rotating. Its collision is staying the same. So we're not really doing anything on the game thread in terms of turning around this coin. We're only spinning the visuals. So if you're doing this animation through materials, it is more performance friendly because it's all being done on the GPU, but you are not actually physically changing things. So there are downsides when it comes to collision. But since we have it set up so that we need to shoot and that there's a separate collision around the coin, it doesn't really matter to us and it doesn't affect our coin. So let's select this one again and reset that collision back to no collision, and then the collision will disappear again. So disable this one. So by doing some animation in the material and utilizing this world position offset, you can actually also save on the game performance. Now, world position offset is used for a lot of different things. If you have a character that's moving around and grass below his feet is sort of moving to the side, that's often done through the world position offset in combination with a material parameter, collection parameter. So there you can sort of update the player location, and then in the material you can say world position offset. Just change that visually for wherever the player is standing. But also think about water waves, having water waves. You don't necessarily need to sort of update the collision for this in all instances, and mostly it's fine if you just try to get away with a visual change. So this is a world position offset is used a lot by artists, not as much maybe by us as game designers, but there is potential there to save a little bit on performance and see if you can actually get away with doing it that way, as opposed to running it physically in a blueprint and actually forcing a mesh or a thing to move together with its collision and all of that. So that concludes this part on optimization. Next up, I want to have a look at the optimization viewport, which can help you out to see which materials in your level are actually really heavy on performance and which aren't.